0 to 12. The percent CR from 0 to 12, 0 to 12, 0 to 24, 24 to 12. So we have 12 to 24. So we have all these CR measurements, and so here you have to be clever to make sure you pick the right one for the particular analysis. Since the change scores I'm calculating in this program are 0 to 12, 0 to 24, I need to get, and if I wanted to compare that or think about that as it relates to the control for or mediated by the observed CR, then I would want to pick the appropriate value that goes with 0 to 12 and 0 to 24. So having said that, and this is just a copy of what Manju says, is first you need to go to the website and you need to find the variables I'm going to want. And so this is a copy of what Manju said. And so you looking through the documentation, you need to find the variables you want. So if I were going to do the change in VO2 and just study the change in VO2 in a quick and dirty little analysis, which is what this is, I need to develop a variable list. And so the variable list I show you here is I would have to go to 5 different files. The VO2 variable is two trials, and so I'd have to measure those, pull out from the VO2 file the two outcomes of VO2 max. I list them for you there. If I wanted to control for gender or look at gender interactions, I need to go find where gender is located, and that's in a demographic file. If I want to find out whether you were allocated to treatment or control, that's in the IVRS file. Time is everywhere. The mixed model will require me to measure time, and time is everywhere. It's on the visit, so I'm going to need to translate that visit to a time measurement. I need ID because I'm going to have I have to do some linking, and I need visit, and that's in every file. So DID num, the variable, and time are in every file, and %CR is in the %CR file. So I have those variables. Building the data set, then knowing those variables, now I need to build different separate files and merge them. And so VO2 max will be in a time varying variable, so I'll have visit. %CR is time varying, and time, of course, is time varying. Female and CR group are time invariant, and so those are at the level measured at the level of person. The others are measured at the level of person time. So. So take care to note visit as you do merges, and so you're going to have to do that. So, and knowing that I can create a long and skinny file that ProcMix wants to see. So I'll finish here. And this, once I finish that long and skinny file, for those of you who are going to request specimens, if you were going to copy my program to add your data, and you had specimens measured at various times, this is the place you'd merge your specimen results onto the file. So I just note for you here that this is the place to do that, having built that. I kind of droned on a little bit about calculating change scores, but I just wanted you to look at about halfway through the program that I've put on the website. You'll see that I create the delta variables that one would analyze if you wanted to analyze change scores rather than the score themselves over time. And from this I would need to create a long and skinny file. So the types of analyses that I put in this program are the impact of CR on outcomes, mediation analysis, or these are the types of things you can now do having built a file like this with the set of variables you want. Mediation analysis, whether a certain metabolite impacts the weight change or that sort of thing. The change analysis, whether change in VO2 is related to change in heart rate, or if that were of interest to you. As an aside, we have produced out of the primary study, we have produced 9 papers. There's many, many, many more papers just using the database per se. We have done primarily the results of here's the impact of CR on something. So we have the impact of CR on body composition, on heart rate, on RMR. So we have those kinds of papers, but a lot of these change with change, how change in one domain relates to change in another domain, are still available, and those are right in the data set. And it's the number of combinations of change in one thing as it relates to change in another thing, and is that at all impacted, is that relationship impacted by CR group, is still there. And potentially there are single arm analyses that can be drawn, but the basic structure I've outlined in the program. So the program is on the website. I list for you where it is. I've shown you where it is. And as you run into problems, I just want you to know that, apropos of David Allison's lecture yesterday, seek out a professional statistician to help you. And I am a card-carrying statistician, so come see me if you need, or Manju. Manju probably is more intimately involved in the data set, but seek us out to assist you in your analyses. So, and so the two places to contact us by the website are, there's my ID, my contact, and CALERIE gets to Manju, and she'll answer. So I'm going to try and get us back on schedule because and leave Chanda a place to. But I wanted to show what the SAS program looks like here, and just for a second. And so nobody can see this, and so it's silly for me to kind of go over it. But I just want you to see some of the components on it. And I'm not going to run it, but there is a component where I download the data set, where I can create the SAS files from the XPT files there. There are formats in there. And then if those of you who read SAS code, and who amongst us doesn't like to read some good SAS code, you can see that I'm merging files, and this is at the level of person, and then below it I'm down here. I'm creating person time, and then I'm going to merge those files along the way. Because as an instructor, I tell people to look at your data all along. I present I put in some program pieces that will give you the distributions so that you can see if everything's working right, if your blood pressures are in the range that you would expect your blood pressures to be in, that kind of thing. So I do proc means and things like that for you to see. And then I do some simple analyses that if you wanted to publish something on on VO2, here's some sample proc mix code where I look at all three-way interactions of treatment times and visit and time to see whether there were male-female differences as they impacted the change in VO2 max over time. Then I do two-way interactions, and then I do come up with a model that is with only significant variables in it. And so one could look at that, and there's some elegant SAS stuff in there that junior researchers who are just doing their first proc mixed might want to know about. For example, I start with an unstructured correlation matrix and then end up on assuming compound symmetry, because after you look at it, the error, it seems to be compound symmetric. So I've got some notes about that along the way. So I'll stop here. That'll get, but if anybody here, any of you without the gray hair who want to see me afterwards about programming and those kinds of issues, come see me, and I will, I'll assist you with that.
He's up.
Right. Yeah.
Has there been discussions of the group concerning the possibility of long-term follow-ups, and intermediate-term follow-up, and the kinds of questions you would like to ask? I could think of a few of them be interesting.
People,
yeah, the participants, both arms.
That's above my pay grade. I will pass that on to NIA or to Bill.
Yeah. Bill, did you want to say anything about that?
Yes, there's been a great deal of talk about, let me just say, the editorial comment about our longitudinal studies, our interventional studies in this country, we spend a lot of money doing the intervention. We do precious little money following these people up long term. That's just editorial across the board, and it's a shame. Yes, we've talked among the group about doing a 10-year follow-up of the CALERIE people. The issue is getting the players together and finding the money to do it, and we're in the process of trying to do that.
But Pennington did do a 2-year follow-up after their intervention. And Corby, I don't know, were any specimens collected at the end of the 2-year? Do we know? So at least from one of the sites, there's 2 years post.
That's interesting. Anything interesting come out of that?
Corby may want to comment, but one of the striking things was that at least the differences in weight between the intervention group and control group were sustained fairly well. There was some weight regain, but even 2 years after the intervention was over, the treatment group was still substantially lower in weight and had lost more weight.
Was the sex still better?
Corby?
That's a permanent effect. I mean, we shall be following CR. But yeah, but importantly, to that point, the behavioral and psychological measures that changed during the trial that we think drove the response, such as suppressed dietary restraint, increased dietary